Have you ever felt so weak that your entire body seems to betray you? The kind of weakness that leaves you unable to stand, to think, to do anything but collapse into the overwhelming sensation of helplessness. Elon Musk felt like that. It was an ordinary day, just like any other, or so it seemed. Elon had been working tirelessly on a new project for SpaceX, pushing the boundaries of what humanity could achieve in space. But lately, a strange sense of exhaustion had begun to settle in, a heaviness that no amount of caffeine or sleep could seem to shake. He dismissed it at first, thinking it was just the weight of his many ventures catching up with him. After all, who wouldn't feel drained when running multiple companies and making plans to colonize Mars? However, on that fateful day, things took a turn. Elon was at the SpaceX headquarters, reviewing blueprints for the next rocket launch. Suddenly, an unexplainable dizziness overcame him. His vision blurred, his limbs felt like lead, and before he knew it, his legs buckled beneath him. He collapsed onto the cold, hard floor, feeling as though the entire universe had become too heavy to bear. For a few seconds, he couldn't comprehend what had just happened. He had fainted, something he'd never experienced before. His body, so used to moving at a breakneck pace, had simply given up. But as he lay there, struggling to regain his bearings, a strange sensation began to creep over him. It was as if the very air around him had thickened, and the room seemed to pulse with an energy he couldn't explain. Then, in the blink of an eye, the world around him changed. He found himself standing in a vast empty desert under a sky so dark it seemed to swallow everything around him. There were no stars, no clouds, just an oppressive void that made him feel as though he was the only person left in existence. He felt small, insignificant, as if the universe itself had abandoned him. And then there appeared a figure, a man, tall and serene, with an aura of calm power that seemed to radiate from him. Elon didn't know why, but he immediately felt a deep sense of reverence. The man was dressed in white robes that shimmered with a divine light, and his eyes held a wisdom that transcended time and space. It was as though this man had seen all that had ever been and all that would ever be. "Elon," the figure spoke, his voice both comforting and commanding. "You've come to a crossroads. The world you live in is changing, and the path ahead will be more difficult than you can imagine. But you must understand the choices that are before you." Elon's heart raced, but he couldn't find the words to speak. Who was this man? Why was he here? And why did he feel like his entire being was being laid bare before him? The figure stepped forward, and Elon instinctively took a step back. But instead of fear, he felt a strange sense of calm wash over him. The man smiled gently, his gaze never leaving Elon's. "I am here to show you the truth," the figure continued. "The truth about what is coming for humanity, and the truth about the choices you will have to make." Before Elon could respond, the world around them shifted again. This time he was standing in a city, an eerily quiet city where the streets were lined with dark, towering buildings. There was no movement, no sound, just a sense of dread that permeated everything. It was as if the city was frozen in time, abandoned by life. "This is what lies ahead if humanity chooses the wrong path," the figure said. "This is a future where people are controlled, where their every move is monitored and manipulated." Elon looked around, his mind racing. He didn't understand. What was this place? What was the figure trying to show him? "Look closely," the figure urged. As Elon focused, he began to see something strange. On the necks and foreheads of the people who appeared in this bleak vision, there were small, glowing marks. At first he thought they were just tattoos or some form of body art, but as he looked closer he realized they were something far more sinister. These marks pulsed with an unnatural light, and when people with these marks passed by others, there was a noticeable shift in the energy around them. The figure spoke again. "This is the mark of the beast, Elon, a symbol of control, a sign of submission to forces that will strip people of their free will. It is a sign of allegiance to the powers that seek to dominate humanity, to turn people into mere tools for a larger agenda." Elon felt a chill run down his spine. The mark of the beast? He had heard of it, of course. It was a term used in religious texts, an ominous symbol of the end times. But he had always dismissed it as mere mythology, a relic of superstition. "This mark is not just physical," the figure continued. "It is spiritual. It binds the soul, controls the mind, and reduces human beings to mere puppets, governed by forces that seek nothing but domination." The words hit Elon like a lightning bolt. He had always believed in technology and innovation as the key to human progress, but the idea of technology being used to control and enslave people felt like a betrayal of everything he had worked for. It was as if the very thing he had spent his life building, space exploration, artificial intelligence, cutting-edge technology, was being twisted into something dark, something that threatened the essence of human freedom. "But how?" Elon asked, his voice shaky with disbelief. "How could something like this happen? How could people allow it?" The figure turned to face him, his expression solemn. "The answer is simple. People will be tempted by convenience, by promises of security and power. They will believe that the mark will bring them freedom, when in reality it will strip them of their humanity." Elon's mind raced. This vision, this warning, felt all too real, all too possible. He had spent his life seeking to improve the world, to make it better for future generations, but this was something else entirely. "You must make a choice, Elon," the figure said. "You are at a crossroads. Will you continue to push humanity down a path of unchecked technological growth, or will you work to ensure that technology serves the people, that it uplifts rather than controls?" The words echoed in Elon's mind, reverberating in his soul. It felt as though his entire life had led to this moment, to this question. For the first time, he understood the true weight of what he was doing. The technology he had created, the rockets he had built, the artificial intelligence he had developed, it all had the potential for good, but it also had the potential for harm. The figure smiled gently. "Remember, Elon, the truth is not something you find with your eyes, but with your heart. You must choose wisely. Humanity's future depends on it." As the figure's words faded, Elon felt a strange sense of peace wash over him. The vision of the city and the mark of the beast slowly dissolved, replaced by a bright light that seemed to stretch out into eternity. And in that light, Elon felt a presence so pure, so loving, that it filled him with a sense of awe and understanding. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was not alone. When he opened his eyes, he was back in the SpaceX headquarters, lying on the cold floor where he had collapsed earlier. His body was still weak, but his mind was sharp, clearer than it had ever been. He knew, without a doubt, that his life had changed forever. The truth had been revealed to him, not just about the mark of the beast, but about the power of choice, the responsibility that came with wielding technology, and the need for humanity to rise above fear and control. Elon knew what he had to do. He didn't know how, but he was determined to make sure that the technology he created would never be used to enslave humanity. And as he sat up, the weight of the decision he now faced settling in his chest, he made a silent promise to himself and to the world. The journey ahead would be long, but it was one he was ready to take.